And to that, we are here. What's going on, guys? Another episode of Auto Talks US, the second episode, but it's going to feel like the first, and I'll tell you why. This is going to be the Auto Talks US story. I realized this week, as I've been telling people that, hey, the show's finally out. The first episode just dropped, explaining, what the show's going to be about and everything like that. I keep repeating the same exact story, the origin story, if you will. Why, where, when, the whole thing started, right? Because I have a phone case on my iPhone, dating back to 2018. I'm sorry, 20. Did I have 2017? I think 2017 when I had my M5. Um, and this phone case is very, very, I don't know, beat up, I guess. Um, Here's why that's significant. The case is an AutoTalksUS case. It's a one of one, meaning I on the back I put one of one because I wanted to make one for myself before I launched the merch. This whole thing is about a decade old. And so let's take a few minutes, more than a few minutes, maybe the entire episode. We'll see how it goes. I don't cut these. These are all start the recording and be honest and tell a story. So, the in high school, I was already doing photo shoots. Most of you know that my career began in the automotive photography space. I was obsessed with shooting cars. Still am, to be honest. Yeah, I'm never gonna deny that. If I see a cool car and I have my cell phone at worst, you can bet your sweet bottom dollar that I am 100% gonna snap some shots. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, photographers are like that. We just, especially if you're obsessed with cars, I mean, you're just gonna take pictures of cars, right? So that's basically how it began. Auto Talks US was a blog slash website that still exists. I have it turned off. I own it. It's a website that I completely ran on my own for a very long time, and starting with my senior year of high school and into a few years of college, until it just kind of became a little bit too much to manage, and other parts of my career developed. So that was in, let's see, 10 years ago, 2015. Yeah, so 2015, 2016, 2017. Young guy shooting cars. And the blog was news. So I was a freelance journalist at the time, automotive journalist, stemming from a freelance position with the famous Shmi 150, Tim Burton. He used to have an online blog in like 2012, 2011 called The Supercar Kids. I was one of the contributing writers from North America for the Supercar Kids. Met a lot of great people from all over the world, and one of my best friends today is actually he lives in the UK, and he was a contributing writer from the UK. Oh gosh, I mean that's when the 918 Spider came out. That's when the LaFerrari came out. Tech Art was a huge Porsche aftermarket brand. Just it, 2011, 2012, that was just a different time. The car world was so explosive. I mean, I remember that we were coming off the back of the ZR1 launch, and when GM set that Nürburgring record lap time in 2009, the world stopped moving for pretty much 6 months after that. No manufacturer had a response. No manufacturer could really do anything about it. GM set the stage with that supercharged ZR1. Massive carbon ceramic brakes. The car just moved, and previously on another podcast, on the Cars and Questions recent video, when I had a chance to be a guest on. We talked about Corvettes and we talked about the Z06. I'm going to go on a tangent for a second. We put together the Corvette is America's 911. It comes in, and I'll explain. It comes in so many different configurations, from the Grand Sport to the base model. Z06, Grand Sport ZR1. You can really do a lot with the Corvette platform. I'm not talking about the new one, unfortunately, the mid-engine Corvette. I get it. Believe me, I'm not saying it's not what it is. It's just not for me. The front-engine Corvettes with that rear gearbox, double wishbone suspension, front and rear, unbelievable handling. If you are a performance driver or if you are a trained driver, you can wrangle out a stupid amount of performance from the Corvette platform compared to other American platforms that, even, so the Viper is a great example as well, actually. Massive aero, the drag coefficient on the Viper is actually a really cool graph to look at, especially at higher speeds, low speeds, into braking zones. The Viper is a really, really fascinating car, especially for its just overall aero platform or profile. But it works. It totally works, and it's a missile. You just have to you have to be an extremely educated, or not educated, but you have to be a performance driver to wrangle out that kind of power from a Dodge Viper, for example. You have to be very, very good. The Corvette is user friendly, so is the 911. Going back to what we were just talking about earlier, the 911, or the Corvette being America's 911, you hop in and you can cruise with your wife. It's nothing insane until you need it to be. The Z06, I don't have the numbers in front of me. You know what? I do, actually. Give me just 1 second. So the performance element behind, I guess, Corvette's longstanding fame in the States is that every single generation is able to combat, rival, and compare with its European counterpart, which is the 911, in my opinion. When between, I guess, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up until now, when was the Porsche 911? I'm not talking about the GT3 RS. You'd have to be silly to take that comparison. That's clearly not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your everyday dentist 911, the 4S, the Carrera S, a GTS perhaps. So those 911s, they are, let's check it out. Let's do a 992 GTS lap times, just for curiosity, because what I have a feeling that the situation is going to be is that the Porsche 911, the modern one, it's extremely refined. They've already squeezed out everything they can from that platform over years and years and years of refinement. So out of the box, for $114,000 or $112,000, you want a used 911 GTS, you're in that $100,000 price range. Why would you not entertain a slightly older Corvette? Because here's the thing. You can buy two 6-speed manual V8 leather wrapped with good solid performance, if not even better. Two of them. Or if you're nuts, get yourself a Z06, supercharge it, do all the unfiltered, whoever, whenever, throw the beans at that car, and you still have money left over for dinner. But then again, I'm a massive Porsche guy, and so really what I'm trying to say is that if the more people that get offended by either side, between the Porsche 911 and the GM Corvette, that's good, because it's a hot topic. It's a very hot topic. And when you look at the values as well, it's reflective of where the cars, I guess, are centrally located. So, like, the majority of Corvettes are always going to be in the United States. you're not going to really see a Corvette driving around in Europe unless somebody imported it. But with the VATs that you got to pay, it's 34%, 35% total plus shipping. So I mean, it doesn't make sense to bring a Corvette to Europe, because then you are in that $80 to $90 to $100,000 price point for that $45,000 sports car with the same performance. So I'd be really curious to see if the Z06 is the C6, obviously. C6 Z06 lap time from the Nürburgring, because we know that in 2009 the ZR1 was the one that had the record. But let's look at the Z06, a car that you can get today for $45,000. Nürburgring lap time. I keep forgetting that this is my own show and I don't have to rush through this if I don't feel like it. 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Oh my God. So, just for perspective, all right, let's check this out. That is nuts. So without even looking this up, I'm going to look this up so that we can read facts right off of a screen. But what I already know is going to be pretty fascinating. So, with a lap time of 7 minutes and 13 seconds, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. I had to type something in and my brain just cannot do two things at once. Ha. All right, you guys ready for this? Several high-performance sports cars have achieved Nürburgring Nordschleife lap times around 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Notable examples include Porsche Carrera GT, $1 million car, Lexus LFA Nürburgring package, 1 second slower. Porsche GT2 RS, 7 minutes and 14 seconds, also slower. Dodge Viper SRT 10 ACR did it 1 minute faster. So what is it that I'm trying to prove? All right. I told you guys I already knew the answer, but I wanted to look it up so that you guys could have it in real time. And you're welcome to look this up as well. All right. It's 7 minutes and 13 seconds. The 911 GT2 RS is slower. The Lexus LFA Nürburgring package is slower. And the Carrera GT matched it. We're talking about a $45,000 car, you guys. Man. And that was unofficial, by the way. I apologize. I do need to set something straight. The new lap time for the Z06 is just 3 seconds off the record setting. So it's under 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay? 7 minutes and 20 seconds. The other cars in that price range, except for the Viper, which was faster, are above $300,000. And they're not even close to $300,000 with the exception of the GT2 RS. The Lexus LFA Nürburgring package, go find me one right now for under $500,000. The Carrera GT, sure. You could maybe find one for $500,000, but I tell you what, I don't want to go more than 50 miles on that clutch. I could tell you I'm not going to trust the brakes and end up like the tires and end up like Paul Walker, who's my hero, by the way. Rest in peace. It's not a joke. And so if you're on a budget and you want to go fast and you like go-karts, you've got a simulator at home. I'm describing myself. All you really want is to feel like a guy who can go fast on the Nürburgring. You know you're never going to. And when you drive to work every day down the interstate, sometimes in traffic, sometimes not, you're not Lewis Hamilton. But here's the thing. If you wanted to, what you're driving is capable of that kind of level. And that creates intrigue and fascination in gearheads like myself and so many others and all of you guys. We are literally driven, no pun intended, by the thrill of knowing that the car we have is capable of these things in someone else's hands. When I had my M5, I wanted a V10 M5 in white because Sabine Schmidt drove one, and she drove the crap out of it. She drove the wheels off of that car around the Nürburgring when she was the ring taxi driver. That's a professional race car driver whose job is to drive the car that I had around the world's most famous racetrack. I grew up watching videos of her shredding that car like it was a Formula One car, same engine. So what I'm trying to say is, when I had that M5, I was not a professional race car driver, but I got a thrill and I got a fascination and I got an intrigue out of knowing that the car that I was driving in somebody else's hands, like Sabine, would have been a completely different story and a different animal. And also, oh man, rest in peace, Sabine. That is just unreal. I think it was cancer. I have a lot of. There's so many famous female race car drivers that are just bigger than life, and yeah, Sabine Schmidt was definitely one of those. Schmitz. I always forget there's a Z at the end. Schmidt. So she passed away during COVID from cancer, and she kept it very, 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 very tight. I actually, this is embarrassing, but I had no idea she was sick. You really don't think that any of your heroes can die, and yet I've lost countless. But if I encourage you guys, after you listen to this episode, to go watch Sabine Schmidt's Ring Taxi at the Nordschleife. She was driving, her job as the Ring Taxi driver before she retired was to take the who's of who of the world, fans, people, journalists, everyday people around the Nürburgring in a V10 BMW M5. It was stock. It had upgraded brakes because there is a performance shop at the Nürburgring. So the car was owned by the track. It was serviced by the track, which are obviously race car service engineers. So the car had kind of decent upgrades as far as brakes and the fluids that it was running, but it was basically a stock M5. And when you see the way she drives this car, guys, all it is pure genius. It's automotive genius. And so when I owned that car, that presence exists. It's bigger than life. That presence exists the entire time you're driving. You know what that car is capable of. You are just simply not good enough to extract it. And it just fascinates me what you can do with this with a C6 C06. It was the perfect combination of grip, aerodynamic aerodynamics and really mechanical grip too. The brakes, the tires, the wheel size, everything from the suspension, the double wishbone suspension, the way that the coilovers, I don't even know if they are coilovers. I don't really know if you can adjust the Corvette suspension's height. I've never really looked into that, but I assume you can't, so it's probably a shock and strut combination. But I fail to understand how that car's price is basically half of what a new Ford Explorer is. You guys, as car enthusiasts, and I'm thankful that this show is not big. I'm thankful that we are just starting, and by the time the show is really popular, this might be irrelevant. But the C6 C06 is the purchase of a lifetime, guys. I really, truly, as a professional, as an automotive consultant who literally is head down reading all day, data. I failed to see a better dollar for value purchase at the moment. I'm very, very interested in what's going to happen moving forward, because manual two-door sports cars are definitely going to be a thing of the past very, very soon. Whether they're replaced by hydrogen, hybrid, EV, it doesn't matter. The point is that the manual sports car probably has 10 years left as far as production cars. Maybe with the exception of two manufacturers. I think Toyota and I think Porsche will probably be the last to do away with it. I think Toyota will, as margins get better, as production gets a little bit easier on manufacturers, I think they will start offering these entry-level cars that they used to have. These like just the fundamental city commuter with a manual option. I don't see the Supra ever really coming back with a manual sort of hero car, which would have been awesome, right? If the Supra made a comeback with a proper 6-speed manual, yes, that car would slap. But it's a BMW right now. It's got paddle shifters, and I like the BMW and the Toyota collaboration. It's not the first time that BMW's collaborated with a different manufacturer to make something cool. So McLaren F1. So like it's not the end of the world that the Toyota Supra really is more of a Z chassis, Z platform BMW. That's not a problem. The Toyota and the BMW together technically make a pretty reliable car. So if you're looking for a good, reliable sports car that is unbelievably fast, I mean, it's the BMW engine, for what it's worth. That engine specifically is stupid. I mean, with a couple $1,000 and a couple bolt-ons and a tune, the tune alone will probably give you like 150 horsepower, just saying, but you can squeeze the ever-loving God out of that car for relatively low money. So again, you're in that $45,000 to $51,000 price range, a couple $1,000 for some upgrades, under $50K-ish, you're in the ballpark for a good time. But it is still not nearly as fast as the Z06, and the Z06 may or may not be cheaper. So let's take a look really quick, just for fun. Corvette Z06 for sale, 2011. Man, $30,000. $41,000. This one is for $41,000, guys. I'm going to describe this listing. I'm not going to post the listing, obviously, because it may very well sell by the time this airs, but it's 41 grand. It's a wide body with a massive wing. It's supercharged. I'm reading the listing. It's got 62,000 miles. It's supercharged. It's got a fat wing. It's wide body. That's what you get for $41,000. Here's a yellow one for $27,900. Here's a blue Z06 with hardly any miles for $46,000. So a low mile example is $46,000, and a 128,000 mile one right here for $25,000. So $25,000 to $46,000. What are we talking about here, guys? What are we doing? Give me one better purchase. And go back to the lap time at the Nürburgring that I just told you. The Nürburgring is the world's test bed for sports cars neutral, meaning they are all tested under the exact same scrutinized guidelines in stock form. All they have is telemetry wires hanging everywhere and protection for the driver in a couple instances, which by the way is going to add a little bit more weight. How did we get on this topic? Oh my God, it's been 23 minutes. We've been talking about Corvettes and 911s. So the entire episode is about how this show started. After doing the photography thing, life got in the way a little bit. I took the website down. So as I mentioned, the website still exists. We were publishing articles, basically. So as a freelancer, I was assigned to this press website, and in this website, it's kind of an internal news reception tank. And so every manufacturer around the world, whenever they announce something, they announce it in the form of a press release. In my previous job at this Mustang manufacturing place, I actually helped write a couple of these and publish a couple of them. So publishing press releases is really cool. You as a manufacturer, you and your PR team and your marketing team, you guys gather all the stuff that you want to announce to the world that's going on in your respective situation, I guess. And you write a press release and you publish it. So when you publish it, it goes to the news wire primarily across the world, Yahoo News, Bloomberg, all these different channels. And so one of these channels is an internal one for freelance journalists in the automotive space. So I had access to that. And so every day I would write car articles based just like everyone else, just like Motor Trend, just like Top Gear, all these websites. They all get their news from the manufacturers via a press release, and then they write their articles about it, opinion pieces, stat pieces, fact pieces, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's how it works. So that's what I did, and it was really awesome for a couple of years till life got in the way and we had to close it down. But it still exists. It's just not turned on. I don't feel like paying for that. It's not what I want to do. The podcast is what I want to do. The podcast, the show, just talking to all of yous about what we got going on in the world of cars and Corvettes. So, yeah, really, really fascinating. And so after the website, very, very quickly, 7.5 years goes by. And now I'm living in Texas. It was a very good time to start this show. So many people were telling me, like, Igor, you've got to start the podcast. You've got to start the podcast. Quit talking about it and just do it. I mean, you guys have no idea. I would annoy the hell out of my friends about this thing. I would annoy everybody about the podcast because I kept talking about it and never did it. So now we're doing it. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff. And really, we're going to also have guests on this thing because growing up in all these different whatevers, the photo shoots and all these journeys and stuff, the one common thing, especially in my last role as a sales director for that Mustang place, you meet a lot of interesting people, and interesting in different ways. So a lot of eclectic personalities, a lot of unbelievable collectors and owners and past clients, race car drivers. Oh my goodness, guys, can you imagine getting a first-hand account of what it's like to race in, let's say, GT3 or prototypes, or, if we get lucky, Formula One, or being a team principal, or being a mechanic or a pit crew guy. I mean, we want first-hand accounts. That's what we really, really should be focused on, is having other people coming on the program to tell their stories. AutoTalksUS. Let's break down the name. We're talking about the automotive industry, guys, and we live right here in the United States, the best country in the world. We've got the best car community in the country. It's fundamentally connected from coast to coast. Monterey Car Week for me was a big eye opener. That's when I realized that you're in this tiny little town and you don't even hear the English language. You hear Farsi and you hear Arabic and you hear Hebrew and Italian and French and Chinese and Japanese, and people are driving right-hand drive cars, and you see Bentley, what do they call them? Bentley Speeds, the old ones, or McLaren F1s. And it's just so fascinating. You see the entire world shipping their cars to this one little small town in California for 7 days, and then they all go back to their homes. The car industry is so much more than just a place of business. For most of us that are real gearheads, this is our life. We go from being children to adults to middle-aged folks to senior-aged folks with this obsession for automobiles. And so when you go to these events, you see guys with gray hair, you see guys with full heads of hair, you see ripped athletes, and you see less than healthy individuals. You see literally everything and every type of person. And why are they there? Well, they're there because they love cars. That's plain and simple. That's just how it is. So if you are one of those people and you feel alienated and you feel alone, you don't really feel like there's too many of you out there, look at me. I'm recording a podcast for maybe a bunch of people, maybe no one. But I can tell you this, I'm recording it for myself. I love talking cars. I absolutely love talking cars. And if anybody is interested in it, I want to talk to them. So AutoTalksUS was about them, not me. We're going to be getting stories, like I said, from race car drivers, from clients, from collectors, from enthusiasts, from hobbyists, from people in the media. Quite frankly, I want to get other journalists on here to talk about their experience when you wrote about this car, and you test drove it and you found out what it could do. How was that? You know, was it everything you expected? Was there anything about this car that you would change? How was it for you? How did you get in this business? Well, how can you inspire the next generation to follow their dreams in this industry? We really, really need to inspire the next generation of gearheads and car enthusiasts that sky's the limit in this industry. Sky's the limit in this business. If you want to shoot cars, you can take pictures from literally your iPhone at a Cars and Coffee event, download the picture onto your computer, run it through Adobe, put a little edit on it, and just let the world tell you what they think. Let the world enjoy what you've put time and energy and effort into. I promise they'll respect it. People really love to see other people chase their dreams, and in a lot of people's cases, they just don't have. You don't know what you don't know, right? It's the old saying. So a lot of people just don't know that opportunities out there exist. These stories that we're going to be telling are going to tie it all together. Every single person that's going to be on AutoTalksUS is going to have a story to share, and it should, if everything goes according to plan, it should inspire. It should inspire and entertain, of course. So, with that being said, we're at 31 minutes. That's the story of AutoTalksUS. I originally just wanted it to be an informative blog until I realized that my obsession was a little bit more than just writing about cars. I needed to speak about them. I needed to talk to people. And that was 10 years ago. Now, I've got a little bit more experience under my belt. Hopefully I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. Hopefully I'm a little bit more interesting. And I think it's the perfect storm. I think right now, off the back end of a major global pandemic, when everybody just wants life to get back to normal, why not have a fun, entertaining automotive talk show where we get to discuss the coolest topics? As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and let me tease next week's episode. I need to thank my sister for this one. We're going to be talking about the difference between aerodynamics and performance dynamics as it pertains to the vehicle in motion around the racetrack. I've got a lot of research done on this from my favorite driving coach on YouTube, shout out Driver61, all the way to just good old-fashioned race books. We're going to be talking about how aerodynamics affects a car's performance, as well as the performance dynamics of the car's chassis itself, where the engine sits from the front to the rear, how the suspension really helps the car, how does temperature help the car or hurt the car. When you're slamming on the brakes going into a braking zone, does the temperature from the brakes just stay in the braking system between the rotor and the pad, or does it go through the wheel and into the tire? How does that affect the car's performance? That's what we're going to be talking about on next week's episode, so stay tuned for that. Very, very cool topic. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. This is a long time in the making, but we waited a decade, right? Now there's no rush. There couldn't possibly be a rush. Let's take it slow, one day at a time. I'm so happy to be doing this. The people that are going to be sharing their stories, I promise you guys are going to love them. Every single person has been handpicked because of their story and their dedication to the industry that we love. We are all here because of our love for cars and our passion for cars, and the people that you will hear from on this program have dedicated their lives to being just a small part in the overall greatness of what we love, which is cars. So with that, Igor, I am out. I've got a roast in the oven that I need to get to. It's probably going to be delicious because most of you don't know, but I am a huge cook. I'm a home cook, self-proclaimed chef, and I'm going to go check on that. Hopefully it's going to be delicious. So everybody, good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I love you. Stay safe, stay blessed. And I will see you next week.